Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today I have 4 Reddit stories for you guys. All credit goes to the original posters of these stories, and I will link them in the description. I think the tree outside my window wants me dead. I don't like the tree outside my window. The tree outside my window doesn't like me either. We have lived in this house for 10 years. That is a long time to live next to a tree that hates me. When we first moved here, I was very young, still in kindergarten, and I knew right away that I did not like the tree. I didn't like the way it watched me through my windows at night. I would ask Mama to pull the curtains, and she would, but I knew the tree could see me anyway. It's weird to be hated by something that can't speak and has no face. How do I know it hates me? I can feel its hatred like steam rising off of the bark. When I am under it, drop sticks on my head. Sometimes I worry that it will fall over one day and crash into my room and kill me. The tree will die too, but it will take me out with it, and I think that the tree will see this as a worthy sacrifice. I would ask to have a different bedroom, but there isn't one for me to move into. Just the one for my mom and dad, and the one for me by the tree. Sometimes I dream of the tree. Usually the dreams don't make sense, but sometimes they do. And they're about the tree growing and growing. I am trapped inside the branches, and the trees grow around me. It swallows me into it as it gets bigger and bigger until it's the size of 2 or 3 or even 4 houses. And then the wood closes up around me, and I am completely inside the trunk. Then I die inside the tree, and I wake up, and I feel as though the tree is laughing. I think the tree is getting angrier. It can see me growing and getting older, and it doesn't want that. The anger is getting hotter, and sometimes it makes me sweat at night. One day I went outside there. There was a swing dangling from the tree. It looked old, like it had always been there. I never go anywhere near it, and it never moves, even when it's really windy outside. That was 2 months ago. Every day I get more and more afraid of the tree. The branches have gotten too close to my window that they scrape against the glass at night, like they're trying to break in. I can't tell anyone that I'm afraid. I haven't spoken to anyone else about the tree in years, because when I was little, I asked Mama about the tree outside. I asked if it would ever be cut down. I tried not to seem too eager about it, and Mama looked at me funny and said what everyone else has said to me since, that there is no tree outside my window. That was never, ever has been. I saw a ghost in my room. When I was around 7 years old, I used to live in this big 2-story house with my parents and my baby brother. At the time, my brother was just learning to crawl around on his own, so it wouldn't be super out of the ordinary for him to crawl up the stairs, under supervision, of course, by himself periodically. For context, my bedroom door was facing the entrance of the stairs. I couldn't see down them, but I could see the space in the hallway where one would come down and up, and my door was always left open during the night because I was scared of the dark. One night I woke up suddenly, which was strange for me because I was, and still am, a notoriously deep sleeper. I remember hearing what sounded like the fridge opening downstairs. One night I woke up suddenly, which was strange for me because I was, and am still, a notoriously deep sleeper. I remember hearing what sounded like the fridge opening downstairs. Thought it must be my dad or something, and closed my eyes again. Again, I was woken by the sound of what seemed to be very slow and heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and again, half asleep and too lazy to pay any attention to it, I decided it must have been my brother crawling up the stairs, and closed my eyes again. When I opened them again, there was a boy standing directly in my doorway. I will never forget what he looked like. He looked like he was probably 12 years old or something. Bright copper hair, very pale skin, freckles, blue eyes, wearing striped blue pajamas. But what startled me the most were 2 things. One, the boy was glowing. I mean, literally glowing. He had this blue aura around his entire body. But most striking of all was that he was holding a glass of milk in his hand. I wondered if he had gotten it from the fridge, and if that could explain the sound I heard earlier. I did not feel any malicious energy, though. We both just stared at each other, no smiling or creepy looks. It looked as if he was getting ready for bed and I was in his spot or something. I remember hiding my head under the covers, and when I emerged, he was gone. To this day, I've only ever seen something like this only once more, but the most recent experience was definitely not as friendly. Regardless, I will never forget the boy standing in my doorway, and I wish I knew more about him. Run. Every day when I woke up, I had to run to school. Every lunch, I had to run from my bullies. Every evening, I had to run into my room and hide away. I ran for ages. I don't remember a time that I wasn't running. I got good at running, amazingly actually. Even if my legs felt numb and burning, even if they were cut and bruised, I still ran. I entered competitions. I always got first place. At the age of 20, I was quicker than most Olympic athletes. People thought I was using steroids, so I did tests before every race. People were watching my every move at this point. It was clear that I was far quicker than anyone. Then I got it. December 19th, 2011, I ran the 100-meter race quicker than Usain Bolt. 30 miles per hour. It was on the news. It was at this point I realized I didn't need to run anymore. This is what my brother wrote in his autobiography. All of this was true. When I heard the news that he had disappeared, I was devastated. After they stopped the search, I was looking through his house. I noticed there was a diary. I peeled it out of the dusty drawer, brushed it off, and started to read. March 22nd, 2011. I'm starting this diary because of something bothering me. I have been seeing a man everywhere I go. No matter how fast I run, he's there. I just want him to go away. May 9th, 2011. I can't get any time to think. I've been busy with the press. He's only about 6 feet away. I feel sick. I cannot comprehend what he is. He's looking at me right now. The only time he's not is when I run. He has to face forward to run, and quick as me. August 3rd, 2011. He's been getting closer, or before he was off in the distance, but now he's only 40 meters away. I'm starting to get worried. I'm having tests done to see if I'm schizophrenic, and saying it's just to check for drugs. I don't want to worry my family. February 15th, 2012. I haven't written in this for a while due to me being on the news. He's only a few meters away, and I'm really worried. March 22nd, 2012. I'm done running. No matter how fast I run, he's right there. I'm going to be ready when he's able to touch me. If anyone's reading this, then I'm probably dead. Please, if you see a dark figure in the corner of your vision, then run. As I finished reading the rushed writing, I stood up and left. I couldn't wrap my head around what I had just read. I walked out the door and felt my heart drop all the way into my stomach. In the corner of my vision, I noticed 2 tall figures staring at me. I turned to look, but they weren't there. I've probably not got much time left, as I'm not nearly as quick as my brother was, but please, if you see dark figures in the corner of your vision, run. Every night I transform into an ogre. As I sit here, writing this account of my experiences, I can't help but feel a sense of despair wash over me. For the past year, I've been living a nightmare, a curse that has turned my life upside down. Every night, as the sun sets and the darkness envelops me, I transform into an ogre, a monstrous, grotesque creature with an appetite for destruction and violence. It all started about a year ago, when I was on my way home from work. I was walking through the park, taking the same route I always did, when I heard a voice behind me. "Hey, miss, can you spare some change?" I turned to see an old ragged man sitting on a bench, his hand outstretched. I hesitated for a moment, but then rummaged through my purse and pulled out a few coins, which I placed in his palm. "Thank you, miss," he said with a toothless grin. "May the gods bless you for your kindness." I nodded and continued on my way, thinking nothing more of the encounter. But little did I know that those words would come back to haunt me. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt a strange sensation wash over me. My skin began to itch and burn, and I felt a creeping, writhing sensation deep within my body. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just a weird allergy or something, but the feeling only intensified. Suddenly, with a loud cracking sound, my body began to contort and change. My bones elonged and twisted, my skin thickened and turned green, and my teeth sharpened with jagged fangs. I screamed in agony as the transformation completed. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw the monster staring back at me, an ogre, with bulging muscles and a savage, ferocious face. For the next few weeks, I was consumed by terror and confusion. Every night, as the sun set, I would transform into the ogre, and every morning I would wake up in my own bed. My body returned to normal, but the memories of my monstrous actions stayed with me, haunting me day and night. I tried to tell my friends and family about what was happening, but they just looked at me with concern and told me I was having some sort of breakdown. I went to see doctors and therapists, but they couldn't find anything wrong with me. I was completely alone, with no one to turn to for help. As the weeks turned into months, I learned to control the transformations to some extent. I started wearing gloves and long sleeves to cover up my ogre-like skin, and I avoided mirrors at all costs. But the curse still held sway over me, and every night I could be forced to transform into the monster. I tried to make the best of it, focusing on finding ways to use my ogre strength and powers for good. I started working with local animal shelter, using my ogre strength to lift heavy crates and move heavy equipment. I also started doing charity work using my powers to help those in need. But no matter how much good I tried to do, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was a monster. Every time I transformed, I felt a wave of fear and disgust wash over me. I was constantly worried that I would lose control and hurt someone, or that someone would find out about my secret. One night, as I was walking home from the animal shelter, I heard a commotion coming from a nearby alley. I followed the sound and found a group of young men attacking a woman, trying to steal her purse. Without hesitation, I charged at the attackers, using my ogre strength to knock them aside and protect the woman. She looked at me with wide, terrified eyes, but I just gave her a reassuring nod and told her to run. As the woman ran off, the attackers regrouped and came at me with knives and pipes. I fought them off as best I could, using my ogre strength and speed to outmaneuver them. But as the fight went on, I felt a sense of anger and rage growing inside me. The more I fought, the more I lost control, and before I knew it, I had transformed fully into the ogre. I let out a fierce roar as I charged at the attackers. Tearing through them with my bare hands and fangs, I was consumed by a primal instinct to protect and destroy, and I couldn't stop until every one of them was down. When the fight was over, I stood panting in the alley, surrounded by the bodies of my attackers. I felt a wave of disgust and horror wash over me as I realized what I had done. I had let the curse consume me, and I had become the very monster I had always feared. I turned and ran, not knowing where I was going or what I was going to do. I just knew that I couldn't stay there, not after what I had done. I ran and ran until I collapsed in an empty field, far from civilization. As I lay there struggling to catch my breath, I knew that I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't keep living in fear and secrecy, always worrying about when and where the curse would strike next. I had to find a way to break the curse, no matter the cost. And so I made a decision. I would seek out the old man who had cursed me, and I would find a way to make him reverse it. I didn't know how I would do it or what it would take, but I was determined to find a way. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking to my channel, and I will see you on the next one.